Now, let us understand the signature of the main. All this is called signature of the main method. Main method is the entry point of the program. In other words, program execution starts from the main method. Invariably, in every program, we write the main method. So, before main method, three keywords are there. One is public, static, void. Briefly, I explain about them. You must have that knowledge, but you may not understand fully because in order to understand their meaning and purpose, you have to understand many other elements. That's why, what extent you can understand, that extent only I will explain. This is first one is public. Invariably, you have to write. Actually, public, private, protected. Three keywords are there. These are called access specifiers. Access specifiers. Access specifiers means they define the accessibility. Define the accessibility. Why that is? Actually, simple example I give. By that easily you can understand. I take three data items relating to you. One is your name. Second one is your telephone number. Third one is your password of some mails and all that. So, name, telephone number, and password. Can you give the same status for the three? You never give. Whether you know this concept or not. Name, the public, anybody can know your name. It is open. As far as telephone number is concerned, only limited accessibility for only close people, friends, relatives, and only you can share with that. It is not a public information. And there are passwords purely private. Private. You never share with anybody. So why you are making different statuses for different data items? The same analogy apply here, and the main should be made public because main is like your entrance gate, entry point. It should be always made public. Otherwise, outside elements cannot enter into the program. Then this program cannot have any interaction with the outside world. That's why invariably always main should be declared as public. That point always you remember. And next one is static. Static. Actually, there are two types of elements, class and objects. Now, in this, we are not creating objects, and next programs we see how to create objects and all that. So, now main we are making it belong to class. For that purpose, we must declare it as static. That means any element, either a variable or a method, is declared as a static qualifier. It is belong to the class, not with the objects. What is the problem if you make it belong to objects? Until unless objects are created, you cannot use main. That's why whether you create objects or not, if you want to use main method and all that, it must be declared as static. Then only it belongs to class. The simple explanation. Don't go in depth. Later, gradually we understand. Thereafter, public static. Two words. Here, one thing I am telling you. In OCAJP, in order to confuse, some question may be there. Static public they may write. That is also correct. No, technically it is valid, but voluntarily don't change. Why should we change? But anybody wants to test your knowledge, then you should tell static public also the same. Technically, it is not an error. Thereafter, void main. Actually, here void represents main does not return anything. It does not return anything. Actually, main actually does not return anything in this program. In any program. That's why we have to declare it as a void. Void. In some cases, some methods may return values. Then, if it is a returning integer value, int. If it is returning a double value, double. Like that return type we write. Suppose a method does not return any value, it must be designated with the return type void. So, this also invariably you must write. But one thing you must remember, Void space should not be changed. It should be before main only. Always return type should be a prefix of the method name. That point you have to understand. Main. Thereafter, so for uh, keywords or qualifiers, I explained this is a signature. Thereafter, these are the arguments. This represent array of strings. Suppose args args is the name of the name of an array. In that string objects we store. So args is the type is array of strings. Args type is array of strings that we have to understand. Later in this chapter only, when I will explain when I explain command line arguments, contextually only you can understand the meaning and purpose of that. So string also invariably you have to write it is a class strng. Class names already I told you start with the first letter, start with the capital. Always remember it is a thumb rule. Whenever an identifier starts with uppercase letter, you understand that it is a class or class type element. Later we discuss something, and this represent array. This symbol square brackets represent an array. That's why array of strings. Now args. Actually for everything, this array, one name is required. That name we are giving as args. That means arguments. But this is user defined. User defined. If you want, you may define some other name. Suppose a, v, values, parameters, any name is you. But in order to confuse you, some questions may be there. They may change the name of it. Out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements, you should not have any choice. Whatever words are there, keyword, that must be used. As far as args are concerned, as this is a user defined, if you want to change the name, you change it. Anybody wants to test your knowledge, they may test. But what I suggest you, voluntarily don't change because let us standardize it. So don't change the place of public and static also. Public, static, void, main, strings, args. That is a signature. And yeah, this is the body of the method. You should not use any semicolon. It's not a statement. That point you have to understand.